Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're going to jump in and take a look at part 2 of the fall display for 2024. The last time that you saw it, it was in its early stages of development. I had not completely decided on what buildings and accessories that I was going to use. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know that I'm fully done with that step. But I do think I'm far enough along to bring you into the fold, kind of see where we are today, what I've done since we talked last on this particular display, and then what we're going to do today, and then what we're going to do in the next coming videos. So, hey, with that, let's jump off the tripod and take a look at least the design piece of what I'm about 98% happy with. Okay, so you can kind of see the setup here, and I've had to really kind of neck it down to get some of the cooler pieces I thought on there, and then some of the ones that are incredibly cool just wouldn't simply fit this go around. And that's okay, because I am limited a little bit with some space issues. But I've done a little bit of redesign, done quite a bit of painting, although it's been very simple and very rudimentary, and I'll show you all of that. But let's just start taking sort of a look at it. All right, so this is the first piece that you saw where I had the apple barn and Jack's pumpkin carving studio along beside each other. I have changed that up a little bit. I think I told you in the first video that the apple barn and Jack's pumpkin carving studio are two of my all-time favorites. So I didn't want to have them right next to each other. I wanted to sort of separate them, and now they're on one end and then completely over onto the other end. But so you saw it carved, and so since you have been away and since I've been working sort of on my own here, I was able to paint everything black, and that was all done with the water-based acrylic spray paint that I got off of Amazon. But again, remember, I had somebody ask earlier, they said they tried to do some spray paint and started eating their foam. It has to be water-based or it will absolutely eat your foam. So it's worth mentioning again. So if you're going to use spray paint, make sure you're using a water-based spray paint. Otherwise, you'll be sorry. It'll destroy your work. So I painted everything black. And then once that was done, I went through with a dark brown and a light brown. Dark brown first and sort of dry brushed. And then over top of that with a little bit of a lighter brown and dry brush that. I also got the ponds pretty well painted. You can see some light areas in there, and that's some glue because there are some cracks in it, and I tried to put some glue in it. I may have to replaster those. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we've got a ways off on that. So, and really that's just a hodgepodge of different colors. That's a brown mixed with a green, mixed with a blue, a couple of different shades of green, and it's in water, quite honestly, just kind of get it wet and kind of get everything to blend together. And that's sort of what it looks like. I don't want it to be a crystal blue pond. Don't want it to be a nasty, yucky pond either. So I kind of went in the middle, and then I'll add a little bit of blue paint to the mixture that I pour into that as I'm stirring it up and mixing it up. And then once we do that with the resin, it'll have a little bit of a blue hint to it, which I think will look quite nice. So this is where this piece stands today. And then as you see, we're sort of coming down the hill here, and we end up on the next display piece. And this is the one that I think gave me the most trouble. And I don't know why. It's just they're so... it's a 2x2. It's a little less than 2 foot in depth because of the cords in the back. So you got some limited space to work with. And some of these buildings for fall are quite large. And so I decided to go with Patty's Pumpkin Patch and the Honey Hive, since they sort of match and mirror one another in terms of scale and architecture. And then I knew that I wanted the Pumpkin Patch Farm sign with flashing pumpkins, the old truck, and then some hay bales, and there's going to be some lighted pumpkins out there. I mean, obviously the accessories are not on here yet. And so this is sort of, at least in my mind, the centerpiece. This is where all the folks in your village will visit this fall display and take their photo sessions, have their picture taken out in front of the sign and all the hay bales and the old truck and all the pumpkins that are going to be out there. And so that's sort of the center of this fall display. And I think once it's decorated and we've got all the accessories on there, I think it'll look really, really nice. And then we continue across, and again, that's just a dark brown and then a light brown over top of that. And I just simply added a little bit of paint to the top. Most of the top is going to be covered with grass or sand, so you'll never really see most of that anyway. And then as we continue off to the right side on the third piece of the display, we've got Crazy Cal's kettle corn. We're just missing one letter in Cal's. If there was just an R in between the A and the L, that would be Crazy Carl's kettle corn, and it would be absolutely perfect. But we're stuck with Crazy Cal for now. And so you've got this piece, which I think is so nostalgic and so cool. Obviously, you got some accessories to go with it. But then you've got the entryway to the Rolling Acres corn maze. And so in behind there, I left a little bit of space to put sort of a corn maze back there with probably, a scarecrow in the middle of that or something that'll look quite nice once it's all set up and done. I think it'll look real nice. And then as we come on over, we've got a mirroring sort of a pond on this side, a little more cracking on this side. I think it's just because it's so hot as it's curing out in the garage that it just starts to develop a few cracks. So I may have to redo that and then let it sit inside to cure, or I may just coat it with some more glue and pour the resin in and see what happens. I probably won't do that because I don't want to destroy the piece in case it goes south. But another pond over here to match the other side. Then we created our stairs that are going up into the Jack's Pumpkin Carving Studio, and that is sitting atop of that little hill or mound right there. And so that is, in a nutshell, all the main features of this fall village. Again, I think it's going to look really nice once it's fully decorated. We've got the grass, we've got the sand, we've got all of our accessories, we've got all of our lit pumpkins, we've got all of our fall trees. And again, I haven't even, really planned those out completely yet. But I think once we get all of that on there, this is going to look really, really good. And then obviously once we get the resin pour in there with those cattails all around there, a few little rocks, and then we haven't even really started talking about lights. We've got some cornstalk lights. We've got some old style kind of farm lights that I think will look really good on here. And so really haven't even explored that yet. That's still to come. But I wanted to let you kind of catch up to where I'm at and see what it looks like and see what we're doing behind the scenes. And so now we've got to decide what's coming next. And what's coming next to me is very simple. We're going to have to put the sand down on this display. There's going to be quite a bit of it. And so we're going to break it back apart into 3 sections, and we'll do, each section one at a time. And then I will videotape at least one of those sections so you can see what it's starting to look like. As you know, you've seen it done before, at least I think you have. It's been in several other videos. It's pretty basic. We're going to put some white PVA glue down. We're going to spread that around with a paintbrush, and we're going to dump some sand on it, well more than we plan on using, and we're going to crunch it down with our hand, and we're going to allow it to sit and bake in the sun and dry, or at least in the garage and dry. It's going to take a day or 2 for that to really dry and crunch up, and then we'll get the excess off, and then we'll put some glue water down on that sand and harden it up to where it's a permanent fixture onto these display boards. So that's what's coming next, but we got to design that. We've got to use a marker or something and kind of determine where we want this sand to go. So with that, let me set this camera back up on the tripod. We'll come over to the display and we'll start looking at how we're going to figure out where the sand is going to go. Okay, as I look at this piece here, obviously we know I'm just going to take a black Sharpie and then start tracing out where I want sand to go. Obviously we're going to cover the black marker up with the sand. So I think I want sand to go all the way up. Well, I know I do. All the way to the front door of this, and then probably into an area about like that. Have a little bit of grass on either side as we start to go around the corner. And then obviously I don't need to mark this because we know this is all going to be sand. And the sand is going to really come all the way to the edge and then kind of come all the way over to here. And that's where that sand is really going to start coming down. And then obviously we want a walkway. And I don't know, maybe perhaps a pumpkin patch in here also. I haven't really made up my mind. But we do want some grass or something up along here. So we got to be somewhat careful. But I think if we sort of, because this is going to be sand up through here too, and then sand probably all the way over like this. Something like that will be a good area for sand. And then quite honestly, all the way back through here to at least here, because there is a side entrance over here that you can go and participate in as well. So that's going to be our sand, and we'll just kind of draw through where the sand is going to run, and then obviously down through here. And then we're going to bring it from here sort of this way, and then down through here, something like that. So there'll be quite a bit of sand up in these areas here on this particular board. And so let me readjust the camera and we'll work on board number 2. Okay, as we're continuing on to board 2, this is sort of how this is going to work. I want the sand to come obviously off through here. We know that's coming, right? So in this, the whole front side will be sand. I think I want the sand, at least for here, to kind of go something like that. Just a straight shot of sand. I want most of this. Actually, I think the sand is going to come in sort of like this. Just kind of matching that lay. And then this is all going to be grass. As a matter of fact, I want it almost a circle of grass. And so as I continue to kind of see how that's going to play up, and I'm going to need to make sure that we're somewhat level there. It's very hard to see on this, in this light, but I think that looks okay. And so this will be a patch of grass. I just need to make sure it's symmetrical between this side, and I can kind of do this and do this, and I can tell you that it's not. So it needs to come out a little bit more over here. Something about like that, perhaps. So then we've got something like that, something like that. That's pretty good there. So we know that is going to be grass, okay? And then so we know sand is going to come out here, and probably, quite honestly, just a circle around. So we'll probably, and again, I am pretty sure these are placed right, but we're probably just going to bring a circle of sand sort of like this, sort of around here. You're almost creating like a racetrack feel. Something like that. Now, I don't know if that makes any sense, and I know it's really hard to see, but what I envision is the sand coming down through here, all the way across and carrying on the theme, right? But then a big circle patch of grass in the middle with all this coolness, a nice area to take photos and things like that, with then some a sand strip around it that kind of leads you back through to Patty's pumpkin patch and over to the honey hive. And then all this will be filled with grass, and in behind will be grass. And so I think that will actually look pretty good. We'll detail the grass once we get the sand on. Right now, we're just focusing on sand, since that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I think for now I'm satisfied. I may change this up a little bit once I can see it in a better light. I may change this one up a little bit, but for now I think we're okay and we're ready to move on to the next one. Okay, and then from here, obviously we know we want the sand to really carry over to these stairs more than anything else, right? And we'll probably bring it right up through something like this, just kind of skirting maybe the little creek or the little pond here. And then we need obviously a way to get over to Cal. So something about like this would be fine. Coming out something like that. Probably just running right over through something like this. And again, it's hard to really see that. I don't need that to be a huge path, but something. And we can either put Cal and his cattle corn here, or Cal and his cattle corn here. Probably somewhere in there he's going to be, but there's a little pathway that will take you back into the corn maze. And then up here, if this is sitting right, and I think that it probably is, we've got room for a couple of trees on the sides here. So here we'll probably just put sand probably right up through here to right about like that. So something about like that, just to get you up to the window. Actually, there's a step over here, so probably something like this. And we'll just do the rest of this thing in sand. So sand is going to be coming this way as well, all the way over through here to about right there. Okay, and then I don't know that I'm going to do sand on the steps or not. Probably not, but I guess we'll see when we get there. But that's about, I think, all we're going to do there. And so now I think we're ready to take one of these apart, take it outside, and start getting ready for the glue and the sand. Okay, as you can see, I'm out here now. I've got a cup full of glue. I got an old paintbrush. I'm just going to start putting glue pretty thick in the areas that I want the sand to go to. Okay, so now we just need to let it sit there and dry, and then we'll, that's going to take probably a day. Then we'll take the excess off after it's done. Okay, so you can just kind of see them sitting here. I've just kind of placed them off on some bushes in order to dry. We've got the other one sitting out here, and then we got our final one sitting over on a little pool accessory box or what have you. And so it's just kind of sitting there drying. They've all got glue and sand obviously all over them, and now they just need to dry. Once tomorrow comes, I will come out here, or probably this evening, I'll put them in the garage just in case it gets windy. And then tomorrow, at some point, I'll come and take all this extra sand off, put it back in the sand bucket, and then be able to reuse that for the next project. Okay, so that's going to do it for part 2 of the 2024 Fall Halloween Village. Hopefully this was beneficial to you as we finished the design process. You saw the completed, at least for now, the completed buildings. I don't think they're going to change. I don't have much more room. You saw how everything kind of fits together. And then we really, in real time, kind of went through and drew out with the black marker where the sand would need to go in order to kind of complete the vision of the walkways throughout this little fall village. And so we took the project outside, we put a whole bunch of glue down, and we put a whole bunch of playground sand down. Now that playground sand is the type you would get at Lowe's or Home Depot. Sometimes it's wet and sort of moist. And so what I'll do is I'll open it, put it in those big containers that you saw me use, and just let it sit out in the sun for a few days and kind of shuffle it around and let it dry out completely. And that way it's ready to use. And so it looks like by the amount that I used on all 3 of these boards, I will probably have to mix up some more going forward for other projects. So I'll do that offline. You guys don't need to see that, but at least you know how it's done. And then obviously we're going to let those boards sit out and dry for several hours until I want that glue to be really dry and not tacky. So when I turn the boards over tomorrow and I kind of tap and shake the excess sand off, then what's left is what it is. Now we can certainly go back and add spots with glue that we think we missed or that need to be, beefed up in certain areas. But I think for the most part, if we just let it sit, let it completely dry, try our patience a little bit, then I think we'll be pleased when we go out and look at it again tomorrow. So what's coming next? Well, we've got to design some lighting to go in place. We've got to start thinking about putting the grass down, and then really just putting all the fine details of the fall leaves, and we've got to do the resin pour. That'll be one of the last things that we do, just to allow that to cure and then be done. And so we probably got another 3 or 4 more videos for this fall village. I would like to hurry up and get it done so I can move on to other things. I've got a lot of things planned, but I really would like to get our crafting room up and running. I'll post another update on that here in a few days, probably next week, to kind of show you the progress. Here's what I can tell you. The cabinets are in. They're being delivered to our home tomorrow, Thursday, and then they're going to be installed Friday morning. And that'll be that. The countertops are being measured after the counters or after the cabinets go in. That'll happen the following Monday, and then a week or so to manufacture those and then deliver those and put those on. And then within the month of August, we should be done. So that's good news moving forward. But I'll continue to document that so you can see it. But for this video, if you've enjoyed what you saw today, make sure you click the like button. And if you have any questions, leave those in the comments. I'll be happy to get back to you and answer your questions. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps me out personally, keeps me motivated on doing these videos for you guys, and it certainly helps the channel to grow. Likewise, if you know folks that would be interested in this, share the videos with them. Allow them to take part in what it is that we are all sharing this Halloween and this fall season. So until we talk again next time, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again real soon.